Hello, my name is Kiara Metz, and I'm here today to talk to you about dirt, but not the type which soils your reputation. Most people do not realize how vital soil is to our survival. Without proper soil evaluation, cultivatable land could not be designated for produce or livestock production, which would lead to worldwide hunger. Aside from food production, soil evaluation allows landowners and environmental conservationists to determine how to properly care for or improve their personal land or the land of the entire earth. You can perform a simple soil evaluation of the soil found in your very own front yard. First, you must understand the different textures of soil. Then, after collecting your own samples, you can perform your evaluation by feel in a few easy steps. There are multiple types of soils, with each type stemming from one of the 5 main base textures of coarse, moderately coarse, medium, moderately fine, and fine. These different base textures each have their own distinct characteristics. Coarse textured soil feels very gritty, and individual grains can be readily seen or felt due to their larger size. Squeezed dry, no mold can form. Squeezed when wet, an unstable mold can form, which crumbles upon handling. Moderately coarse textured soils, like coarse textured soils, feel very gritty, and each of its individual grains can be readily seen or felt. Squeezed dry, a mold which breaks upon handling forms. Squeezed wet, a mold forms which can bear careful handling. Medium textured soils are usually very dark and dull in appearance, similar to the characteristics of potting soil. Squeezed dry, a mold forms which can be carefully handled. Squeezed wet, a mold forms which can be handled freely. This type of soil is very messy due to the fact that when handled, it leaves itself all over your hand. It does not stick to itself, it sticks to you. Moderately fine textured soil is found in clods or lumps. Due to the large size of the clods and lumps, it is very difficult to handle these solid forms while dry. Non-solid or loose samples of moderately fine textured soil feel very fine when they are dry due to the smaller grain size of the individual grains. Finer samples form a mold which can be freely handled when wet. Wet soil, unlike that of the medium textured soil, sticks to itself, not to you. However, it does leave a shiny glaze on your hand. Fine textured soils, like moderately fine textured soils, are found in clods and lumps. However, fine textured soils are found in not small clods or lumps, but massive clods or lumps. Also, like moderately fine textured soils, these clods and lumps are difficult to handle when dried due to their hardness and massive size. However, the finer or looser samples of this soil feel very fine whenever they are dry, like moderately fine textured soils, because of their smaller individual grain size. Finer samples form a mold which can be freely handled when wet. Also, like moderately fine textured soils, whenever you handle the soil when wet, it also leaves a glaze on your hand which is shiny. However, fine textured soils leave a red shiny glaze on your hand. Once you have a basic understanding of the different types of soil textures, you can begin to estimate the type of soil a sample is based by feel. Begin by taking approximately 1 tablespoon of your soil sample and wet by adding water in small amounts. Then knead your soil sample until it feels similar to moist putty. Step 1 says to try to form a ribbon of uniform thickness and width by gently pushing the soil between your thumb and forefinger in a motion similar to this. If your soil does not form a ribbon, you have a coarse textured soil. If your soil does form a ribbon, you must then determine what type of soil you have by the length of the ribbon it forms. If your soil forms a ribbon over 2 inches, you have a fine textured soil. If the ribbon form is 1 to 2 inches, you have a moderately fine textured soil. If the soil forms a ribbon of less than 1 inch, you must continue to step 2. Step 2 states to excessively wet a small pinch of soil in the palm of your hand, then rub it with your forefinger. If the soil feels gritty, you have a moderately coarse textured soil. If it does not feel gritty, you have a medium textured soil. It is important to remember that without soil, there would be no life on our beautiful earth. With that being said, if you decide to do your own soil evaluation, keep in mind when collecting samples where wildlife may roam, leave the area as if you hadn't been there to prevent any further disturbances to the land. After my breakdown of the different textures of soil and my explanation of how to perform your very own simple soil evaluation by feel, I hope you will now view dirt as complex and a vital life source, not just the stuff you walk on.